Haven't serious crime rates, though, decreased in Canada?
No, they've gone up dramatically. They're up 50% since the Liberals took office. After having dropped under Prime Minister Harper, we brought in very tough laws, and crime dropped by 25%. And Trudeau got in and basically made it so you get automatic bail under C-75. You get house arrest under C-5, even for serious sexual and violent offenses. And that's why you see this same tiny minority terrorizing and tearing apart communities across Canada.
Let me ask you about tariffs and the relationship with the United States. You have been quite adamant you don't like the fact that Canada has recently removed some tariffs on U.S. products coming into the country. Why don't you like that? I
would clarify slightly. What I would like to see is tariffs removed on both sides of the border. I think that the mistake that Mr. Carney has made is that he promised elbows up, and of course it's been elbows down ever since the election. He removes tariffs without getting anything in return, and he is signaling weakness. That's why the Americans have actually increased tariffs on Canada. The Chinese sense the same weakness, so they're increasing tariffs on our fish harvesters, seafood producers, and farmers. And the weakness is costing Canadians here at home. So what I think we should do is go to President Trump and say, listen, why don't we both remove tariffs? Let's get to a tariff-free relationship again, and in exchange for that, we will build up our military like you haven't seen since the Second World War. We'll harden up our borders against drugs and other dangers. You'll be safer, we'll both be richer, and we'll be a stronger continent as a result.
Is President Trump interested in a win-win, though? He doesn't seem to be.
Well, he hasn't had to be because the incredible weakness the Liberals have put us in. If you think about it, since they've taken office, $500 billion of our investment has left to the States. That's a problem that has worsened under Mark Carney. In the last 5 months, about $60 billion more of our money is left, with the biggest outflow of investment in the 5-month period. And that's because of Carney's high taxes, blocking resource projects and pipelines. I want to go the opposite direction. So again, back to solutions. Conservatives are proposing a Canadian Sovereignty Act, which will make this the fastest place in the world to get permits for mines, pipelines, export plants, forestry projects, open our ports to the world. Well, and that'll get us away from just relying on the Americans and make us a truly sovereign and self-reliant economy.
Let me ask you about ports, because today it's being reported, and the Prime Minister in Latvia spoke about big projects in Churchill and Montreal, Port of Montreal, that could be coming for the export of things primarily like LNG. Here on the east coast of Canada, we're sort of looking around and going, well, over here, because we have an LNG port in St. John that could be retrofitted for that type of purpose. Will you fight for maritime ports to be included in that?
Absolutely. And in fact, I strongly support natural gas development, liquefaction, and export from Eastern Canada. We should be able to defund Vladimir Putin right now by selling our gas to the Europeans, but the Liberals have blocked every natural gas liquefaction and export project that has been proposed in Eastern Canada, saying there's no business case. Mr. Carney still won't commit to one, and yesterday the Polish ambassador was laughing at us on CBC. He did an interview where he started laughing. He said, we do buy Canadian natural gas from the Americans. They buy it cheap from Canada and sell it to us at a higher price, said the Polish ambassador. So the Americans are making money off our gas instead of letting great Eastern Canadian pipe fitters, welders, and electricians build liquefaction facilities and ship it off directly. We should be getting $14 a cubic, a British thermal unit. We're getting $3. So we got to get the Liberal rules out of the way, unleash export over the Atlantic, and that starts right here in Atlantic Canada.
You mentioned defense spending. It's clear that Canada will be buying a fleet of submarines. It was mentioned today that it's likely either going to be a German model or one from South Korea. Regardless of which it is, should the procurement regulations state that Canadian aluminum, Canadian steel be used, and should some of those submarines be at least built in Canada?
To the first question, absolutely. We need to support Canadian steel and aluminum production. To the second question, we have to ask ourselves why the government has had to admit that we are not competitive in producing these sorts of things. Same thing's happening on the West Coast with ferries. They say we can't make ferries in Canada. Well, why not? Why is it that the taxes and the red tape is so thick in Canada, even though we have the best workers in the world? I was just at the Irving shipyard today. The government bureaucracy stands in the way of making more of this product at home. So we need to remove that bureaucracy and become more self-sufficient and reliant on ourselves. That's why we're putting forward the Canadian Sovereignty Act. The other idea we're proposing is to get rid of capital gains tax when people reinvest in Canada, bring back those hundreds of billions of dollars of investment to grow our economy here.
I only have about 30 seconds left, but I want to get this in. Canada Post today, it was revealed it lost $400 million in the second quarter. Package traffic is down 37%. Of course, a lot of that had to do with the last strike. Would you sell Canada Post?
We definitely have to cut the costs back. We can't be hemorrhaging this kind of money. Mr. Carney's deficit is even bigger than Justin Trudeau's, even though he hasn't introduced a budget yet. We need to cut government spending and bureaucracy, including at Crown corporations, so that we can get...
Is that a yes?
Well, I'm not making that announcement now, but we have to get the cost of government under control so that we can bring down the taxes, the inflation, and reverse the Liberal cost of living crisis.
Mr. Poilievre, thank you for coming in. It's always good to see you.
With you. It's wonderful to be back out east.
That's Pierre Poilievre, of course, the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada.